Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services. It's a video on daily news and editorial analysis, which I'll be covering from the Hindu and Indian Express. The most important news and editorial of the day that is relevant for the preparation of civil services examination will be discussed in this session. Let's get started with the news topic list. Today is 14th of January. The first important news that is India to set up Global South Center for Excellence. Second, India to discuss debt crisis with Sri Lanka. Third, Reserve Bank of India says that there is no need to revisit 4% of inflation target considering the current economic trend and performance. Fourth, India's bilateral trade with China. We'll see where the export and imports are performing. And the last is an editorial taking a step to regulate the deep fakes. So deep fake issues is concerning globally and specifically for India as well. Apart from the news and editorial discussion, at the end of this video, there will be MCQ based questions. These questions will be based on current affairs that will help you for the upcoming prelims examination. So without any further delay, let's get started. And before I begin this session, those of you who are new to our channel, do not forget to subscribe Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services on YouTube. If you like this video, if you find this video informative and helpful, do press a like button. So starting the session, the first news that is India to set up Global South Center for Excellence, something important for General Studies Paper 2 under the subtopic that is bilateral, regional and global grouping an agreement involving India and affecting India's interest. So recently, while addressing the Global South Summit, the Prime Minister has announced that there will be establishment for Global South Center for Excellence to undertake research on developing issues or best practices that will help the member countries of the developing world. So India and its proactive measures has come up with a notion that definitely there will be establishment for Global South Center for Excellence. Now, talking about the Global South Science and Technology Initiative, India has made a great stride in an area like space and technology, nuclear energy. Then the Prime Minister has categorically said that the launch of Global South Sciences and Technology Initiative to share India's expertise with the developing nations as well, so that the benefits should be, be largely distributed among the members nation as well. The initiative will provide an essential medicine supplies on the Global South scholarship for the student in developing countries, because we have seen during COVID-19 the COVAX program which was there, right? The COVAX program की अगर बात करें उसके through सारी distributions हुई थी, but globally many of the countries were again complaining about the malpractices or less distributions of the vaccine. So India will take care of this thing via the Global South Science and Technology Initiative, and also call for the scholarship for the meritorious student who is studying abroad in any of the Global South countries. Now, India has convened that one of a kind summit to focus on international attentions, the priorities, perspective, and concern of the developing world. Now, this is particularly relevant as the world passes through a difficult period marked by the challenges on health, specifically with regards to COVID-19. Food security की crisis हमने देखी है during the war that still is ongoing between Ukraine and Russia, right? Affordability of excess energy was again that was disrupted because of the war, and even the climate, finance, technology, and economic growth, right? So these are some of the priority areas upon which the discussion or the initiative will work. And this is a very important topic for the mains examination, and specifically prelims में भी आपसे direct सवाल पूछे जा सकते हैं. Now, development of digital public goods की बात की है इंडिया ने. The Prime Minister has said that the digital public goods developed by India in fields of electronic payment. In electronic payment, you can take UPI और रुपे कार्ड, ये सारी चीजें इसमें इंक्लूड हो जाएंगी. हेल्थ, एजुकेशन, ई गवर्नेंस, these are the areas upon which it can help other countries as well. Now, moving to the other news, India to discuss debt crisis with Sri Lanka, something important for General Studies Paper 2 under the subtopic that is India and its neighborhood relations. India's External Affairs Minister, Mr. S. Jaishankar, will travel to Sri Lanka next week to discuss the debt crisis with Sri Lankan government. We have seen recently that Sri Lanka has witnessed the worst economic crisis, right? And this was due to mainly because of the practices of the economic policies of Sri Lanka and a lot of debt that is coming directly from China, right? So these were the issues, and the reason being the shortfall of the Sri Lankan government. Now, this will be the first trip of the Indian side since the new president has taken the office, and in last July, and the protest that was there during the previous regime of the government. Agenda of the meeting की अगर बात करें, there will be a full review of bilateral ties between the both countries. This is again the priority areas for the discussion. Written financial assurance will be there from India to Sri Lanka. Restructure of Sri Lankan debt, which is mostly the Chinese debt. I'll tell you in a bit later part of the video कि कहाँ से China ने कितनी debt ली हुई. To make progress on their bailout plan, that will be discussed with the IMF, because IMF have denied the bailout package initially because of the economic conditions that was not prerequisite to give out a bailout package. Now, India's support to Sri Lanka की अगर बात करें, India has been evolving closely in assisting Sri Lanka, and proactively India ने support की है in terms of economic recovery, चाहे वो debt की बात की जाए last year भी. India has given some of its aid to Sri Lanka to overcome the challenges, being our immediate neighbor. And India has been coordinating with other partners like United States, Japan, and both with a bilateral level at the Quad meeting in order to find way for Sri Lanka coming out for the financial crisis. So India is acting basically proactively in terms of providing a resolution that should help Sri Lanka. However, strategic ties hit a block over the Sri Lankan government decision, जहाँ पे उन्होंने चाइनीज जो सेटेलाइट ट्रैकिंग वेसल्स है हमन बोटा को अलाउ किया. ये कहीं ना कहीं श्रीलंका और इंडिया के बीच में जो रिलेशंस है उसको इम्पैक्ट करती है. ऑल्दो इंडिया इज हेल्पिंग अ लॉट, बट दीज जेस्चर्स बाय श्रीलंका वाज डेफिनेटली नॉट अप्रिशिएटेड फ्रॉम इंडिया, राइट. एंड दिस वाज डन, एंड यूएस ने भी इसके लिए प्रोटेस्ट की है, अपनी बातें को रखा था. Talking about the debt that China, basically Sri Lanka is having. If you see from the other part of the countries and from the institution, अगर बात करें China से, they have 10%, Japan 10%, World Bank 9%, India 2%, market borrowing is close to 47%, and Asian Development Bank से 13% की total debt, right? From other, it has 9%. And if you talk about the debt to GDP, like if you calculate it, for Sri Lanka, it is 101% of the GDP total outstanding government debt, and 110% of the GDP with regards to public debt, including the debt of the state-owned enterprises. So this is the worst situation in Sri Lanka that they have witnessed, although a little stability is seen, but definitely will take it due course of time to come to a normalcy. Issue of ferry connectivity, that will be again an area upon which the government of India will have a discussion with Sri Lankan government. India will also discuss the trade and transit between Sri Lanka. Both countries are in talk to enhance the ferry connectivity following a restart of Chennai-Jaffna flight last month. Basically, this is something that is connecting these two countries, and demand of this particular route was also there. The new government has committed to resume negotiation on the stalled economic and technological cooperation agreement as well. Now, moving to the other news, RBI says no need to revisit 4% of inflation target, something important for General Studies paper 2 under the subtopic that is Indian economy and issues related to planning, mobilization, resource growth and development. Recently, the Reserve Bank of India's governor has said that it's too early to have a revisit to the target of inflation, that is 4% with 2% of the deviation on either side in the current situation. Right? Recently, अगर बात करें post COVID की recovery की, we have seen that the performance of many sector is a bit good, not comparatively जो desired थी, but again it's performing well. Manufacturing is recovering, service sectors are recovering. So at this time, we cannot have some of the things which is not working in the economical context, right? We cannot have some changes. This is what recommended by the Reserve Bank of India's governor. He said that it's too early to shift the goalpost, and 4% target is certainly have a meaning and they have a consequences in the overall development of the economy as well. Now, under the rule, the Monetary Policy Committee, जिसे MPC भी कहते हैं, UPSC has asked the question with regards to MPC, with regards to the composition. So it said that MPC need to keep the inflations to 2%, 6% band with the target of 4%. तो 4% plus minus 2 की बात की थी Monetary Policy Committee. Now, key policy rates की अगर बात करें, the Monetary Policy Committee has hiked the policy rate over 2% point by 2022 to fight inflation that has stayed over 6% level for most of the last year, and inflation has eased in last 2 months, right? And according to the governor of the RBI, the flexibility of the inflation framework has facilitated the maintenance of the average consumer price index from 2016 to 2020 and kept it at 4%. कोर इन्फ्लेशन इज कंसर्न है, जो कि आरबीआई ने हाईलाइट भी किया. द रिजर्व बैंक ऑफ इंडिया गवर्नर हैज नोटेड दैट द कोर इन्फ्लेशन इज स्टिल रिमेनिंग स्टिकी ओवर 6% is definitely a concern. RBI need to be very vigilant on the part of the core inflations, and at the moment India continued to focus on the core inflations. The core inflation, however, has remained around 6.31%, which is definitely is on the higher side. Headline retail inflations की अगर बात करें, India's headline retail inflation has eased to 1-year low, that is 5.72% in December from 5.88%, some marginal decrease that we have witnessed for previous month. And data released on January 12 by the Ministry of Static Program Implementation has shown these data. Now, at 5.72%, the latest consumer price index inflation print is below the consensus estimate as well. Wholesale credit, these are also the important aspect that is taken into consideration. So the Reserve Bank of India governor has said that the credit growth so far has been largely because of the retail, but have stated receiving proposal of the whole credit, and there are signs that the wholesale credit is picking up. So this, in terms of wholesale credit, the demand is on a higher side, is on a rising side. RBI is expecting to see more wholesale demand in the coming futures. So budget के बाद भी ये चीजें, this will be there on an increasing trend itself. The banker have stayed receiving wholesale proposal from the business and the corporate sectors as well. Moving to the other news, India's bilateral trade with China, something important for General Studies Paper 2. Paper 3 precisely, Indian economy and issues related to planning, mobilization, resource growth and development. And this particular news is also important for General Studies Paper 2, where bilateral regional grouping and agreement with India's other countries are concerned. According to the latest data that is released by the China's Custom Department, it says that India's trade for 2022 has climbed up to $135.98 billion, and this is a rise of 8.4% over $125 billion mark last year. India export to China की अगर बात करें, we'll see the export and import. So India's export to China, however, has fell in 2022, driving an already significant trade deficit below the 100 billion mark for the first time. This is what India is witnessing. And figure released by the General Administration of Custom in Beijing has shows that there's two-way trade that is up. It's 8.4% for the last year. This is something close to 135.98 billion. And India import की अगर बात करें, इसकी जो value है 118.5 है, up from 97.5. These data might not be relevant for examination purposes, but you need to know the trend of how the things are working. तो trends के बारे में आपको पता होना चाहिए कि trend किस तरह से downward से upwards. India's export to China fell from 28.1 billion to 17.48 billion, and the trade deficit has reached to 1.1 billion by 45%. Right, this is 69 point in 2021. So these are some of the changes that is evident in terms of India's export to China. Now with this bar graph, it will be clear about the key important imports from China, the sector or the item that is being imported. So you can see telecom instruments are among them, electronic components, computer hardware and peripheries, industries, machinery for dairy, etc., organic chemicals, residual chemical products, electronic instrument, consumer electronics, electronic machinery and equipments, fertilizers, manufacturing, and auto component parts. So these are the most component part that we import from China. Now, trade imbalances की अगर बात करें, this was a data like the trade, as I've told you, this is upstick to 135.98% and import to 1.8, and India's export has a dip of 17.48 billion from 28.1. So this is again an important point to be noted, and even whatever we have discussed, you can revise it here as well. Now, India overall bilateral trade value की अगर बात करें with the countries, definitely China is among the top, followed by United States, then United Arab Emirates, Hong Kong, Singapore, Saudi Arabia, Germany, Indonesia, Iraq, Japan are the part of the countries with India as a trade in terms of other goods and items. China's total foreign trade की अगर बात करें, China total foreign trade in 2022 has hit a record of 7.7 to 6.25 trillion. It's climbed up to export of 10.5. And trade with the ASEAN, China's is the biggest trading partner, which has increased to 11.2. These are again a data-driven news. So you need to just figure it out the trend, how things are performing, right? And the EU has ranked second from China trading partner, which trade up to 2.4, followed by United States and other countries. For India, the trade last year has surpassed what was recorded in 2021. That accounted for a demand recovery in India, surpassing the imports for immediate goods and the new categories of medical supplies. Moving to the editorial of the day, a brilliant editorial about the deepfakes. The title of the editorial is Take a Steps to Regulate the Deepfakes, something relevant for General Studies Paper 2 under the subtopic, that is the government policies and intervention for the development of various sectors and issues arising from its design and implementations. So what we'll be discussing in this editorial, first the theme, that is the deepfakes and its concern. The issues that is lingering around this topic is issues with the deepfakes, threat of the financial fraud, creating tensions in the neighborhood, need for the legislation, and the way forward. So we'll get into the important part of the editorial. So deepfakes की अगर बात करें, deepfakes leverage a powerful techniques from the machine learning and the artificial intelligence to manipulate or generate a visual and audio content with high potentials to deceive. The lack of proper regulations in India create an avenues for individual firms and even the non-state actor to misuse the artificial intelligence technologies. And the legal ambiguity coupled with the lack of accountability have oversight is a potent mask of a disaster that has resulted in a technology like deepfakes. So just to give you an idea of what the deepfakes actually look like, you can see the images, two images, one with the Ukrainian president, another with the former president of the United States. So you can see this is the fake image and this is the real one, and the fake, this is the fake and this is the real. The fake exactly look like the real, and even if you see the US president, former US president Donald Trump, the real face look like manipulated and the fake face look like real. So these are the level of confusion, a high level of confusion that emerges, and even it calls for tampering with the voice and other stuffs as well. Now, issues with the deepfakes की अगर बात करें, deepfakes videos can be used to spread misinformation and propaganda. The serious compromise the public ability to distinguish between the fact and the fictions, because most people will not get into deep down to understand what is actually happening, basically what is there in the part of the technological nuances. So many would trust them what the prima facie videos are there. So there has been history of using deepfakes to depict someone in an compromising and embarrassing situation as well. First tenses, no dearth of deepfake is basically on the part of the pornographic material for the celebrities. Such photos and videos do not only mount to the invasion of privacy of an individual, but also call for an harassment. Threat of financial fraud की अगर बात करें, deepfakes has been used for financial fraud. Recently, the scammer used AI-powered software to trick CEO of UK energy companies over the phone into believe that it was speaking with the head of the German part company. As a result, the CEO has transferred the large surge of amount to what he thought that was a supply, right? So he has transferred a lot more value, which is mounting to 2,20,000 euros dollar, and he thought that he was a CEO to whom he is making a transfer. So this is the level of confusion that one can encounter with it. And the audio of the deepfakes effectively mimic the voice of the CEO boss, including the German accent. So this is how the fraud took place. Creating tensions among the neighborhood can also one of the possible negative consequences of the deepfakes technology. There are deepfakes that is being used as a lethal tool. Deepfake can be used to influence election in any part of the world. Recently, Taiwan cabinet ने देखा that they have amended the elections laws to punish the deepfakes and videos and images. Taiwan is becoming increasing concerned with China that is spreading the deep and fakes and false information with regards to the public opinion, manipulate the elections outcome. That is a concern. And this could also happen in India. We have the elections, Lok Sabha election that is due for 2024. So this concern can also be part of basically India's election system. Then definitely the authorities have to take a note of this. आयरोनॉकली अगर बात करें, ये आयरनी है कि चाइना जैसे कंट्री नहीं जहां पे कहा जाता है कि डीफेक्स उन्होंने बहुत ज्यादा जनरेट किए, दे हैव एक्चुअली कम विद द रेगुलेशंस टू कंट्रोल डीफेक्स with regards to the national security and economy. So their concerning is about the national security and economy. Now in March 2022, Ukrainian president, as I've given you the images, has revealed that the video posted on the social media as appeared to be instructing the Ukrainian soldier to surrender to the Russian forces was actually a deep fake, right? So this is how a level of between the two countries and such high level of manipulations take place. Similarly, deep fakes could also be used to produce inflammatory materials and even purposely to show armed forces with police committing crimes in the area of conflict. The deepfakes could be used to radicalize the populations, recruit terrorists, and even incite some violence. Now, definitely, what is the need? There's a need for a legislation, be it for any country. The need is the legislation, precisely talking about India, the democratic country with the largest population and low level of literacy. तो यहाँ पे ये काफ़ी बड़ी चैलेंज है. If you're writing in mains paper specifically, तो आप यहाँ पे digital literacy की बात को ज़रूर highlight करें. So currently, with the view of provisions under the Indian Penal Code, the Information Technology Act can potentially be involved to deal with the malicious and deepfakes. आर्टिकल सेक्शन 500 बात करें आईपीसी की पनिशमेंट फॉर डिफेमेशन की बात करती है. सेक्शन 67A ऑफ द इंफॉर्मेशन एक्ट punishes the any kind of sexual explicit material or explicit form. RPA 1951 में बात की गई है with provision regarding the prohibitions of creations and distributions of false information about the candidate political parties during the election period. But these laws are not that stringent that even if a violation is coming out from abroad, from not from Indian mainland, तो वहाँ पे challenges भी काफी ज़्यादा होंगे global level पे, right? We do not have such rules and regulations. The Election Commission of India has to take the cognizance of it, and even they have also asked the political parties to get an approval for any kind of advertisement, social media, post that they will be doing, so that a transparency and fairness is there in any kind of advertisement by our political parties. However, their rules do not address the potential danger that is caused by the deepfake contents. Now, if you come to the way forward or conclusion part, India need a legal framework. The need of the hour is to have a legal framework that is AI and is sufficient and even adequately address the issues that have arisen due to the AI algorithms. The union government should introduce a separate legislation regulating the nefarious use of deepfakes and the broader use of artificial intelligence technology. So this is how the regulation will help. And legislation should not hamper the innovation in artificial intelligence, but also recognizes the deepfake technology and may be used by the commissions in the Criminal Act and should be provide provisions to provide use of deepfake in such cases. तो टेक्नोलॉजी के अपने पॉजिटिव और नेगेटिव कॉन्सिक्वेंसेज हैं, हमें नेगेटिव कॉन्सिक्वेंसेज को रूल आउट करने की जरूरत है. The proposed digital bill, which was there recently by the parliament, can also address the issue to target a larger extent. Right, so this is the control measures essentially required, and Government of India need to take it very seriously, considering the fact that the 2024 election might in that particular election there can be some of the defects that can be reported. We have to be vigilant enough on that context. Now, before I conclude, a basic news that I wanted to include in the session. Kollam is the first constitutional literate district. So the name become important for many other government examination. They can ask you that which city in India has been declared as the first constitutional literate district, right? So this is the basic. If you want to read more, you can reach out to the details. And moving ahead with the MCQ questions of the day, before I proceed, just to tell you the answers of yesterday's questions. For first question, the correct option is C. For second question, also the correct option is C. Today's MCQ for practice. Pradhan Mantri Bharatiya Jan Aushadhi Pariyojana, the Bureau of Pharma PSUs in the implementation agencies. The scheme aims to bring down healthcare budget for every citizen in India through quality generic medicine affordable prices. So these are the two statements about the policy. Now the second question of the day is about the Global Bio India 2021. Although the news is an year and old, but many a times UPSC tend to ask such old question as well. The initiative was launched by the Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. The theme for the year was transforming life with the lag of bioscience and bioeconomy. So do check it out for the correct option. Every year you can check for the current event as well that took place. Practicing lots of questions will help you. We have a lot more other initiative on the part of social media as well in Instagram and Facebook where you can practice the questions. So this was all about for the daily news and editorial analysis followed by the MCQ questions. If you have any other concern, you can reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to assist you. For time being, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching this video.